What will we see when we fly near Pennsylvania Dutch County in our Cessna Skymaster from Papa November Echo, Northeast Philadelphia, to 9 Delta 4 Deck Airport? Let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, we'll click on the checklist button here and check out these checklists. So if you buy the Cessna Skymaster from Carenado and you do this same thing, that will be blank. So these are the checklists I made. I'll put the link so that you can download them from flightsim.to. They are fully integrated with the built-in cameras and the checklist system, so you can see it'll highlight items that you need to click on and swivel the camera over to that item so that you can complete the task. Getting the camera to swivel in the checklist is pretty easy. If you open up the camera.config file for any aircraft, you can see all of the cameras and their names. For example, this camera is titled Avionics, Switches, and Parking Brake. If you open up the checklist file for the aircraft, just insert the command force camera name equals Avionics, Switches, Parking Brake, and it will swing the camera to that camera at that step in the checklist. Super easy. Making a checklist itself is actually pretty easy. It's just an XML text file. Asobo provides a master library of all checklist functions, so really all you need to do is copy and paste from that master library. So locate parking brake set in the master library, copy and paste it into the checklist, and at that step it'll say parking brake set, swing the camera, do all that good stuff. If the function doesn't exist in the master library, you can just put in your own custom text for what you want to appear in the checklist. There's text for what's on the menu, what it expects you to do, and then if you want any tests, like to check if a switch is set. So it just took me, I think, one afternoon and a little bit of Googling to figure out how to do it. And now it takes me, a Saturday to make up a new checklist for craft that are missing them. Which leads me into my next segment. Standard disclaimer, the following statements are just opinions and do not reflect statements of fact. With that legal disclaimer out of the way, Carenado, if you're listening, you suck. And I don't mean your aircraft. Your aircraft are awesome. I've bought multiple Carenado aircraft for X-Plane, and I've bought 4 of the 8 Carenado aircraft that are available for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I love all of them. Your detail is fantastic, and these are just great aircraft. So I mean, you suck. And the reason I mean that is because every single one I've bought for Microsoft Flight Simulator has a blank checklist, and you are not the only developer guilty of this. I mean, I'm glad you found the 1970s pilot operating handbook and photocopied it into a PDF and dropped it in a documentation file that's buried in the OneStore folder for this aircraft. But have you played Microsoft Flight Simulator? It's a core feature. I am not a programmer. This is just copying and pasting, and it just took me a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon to do it, so I am sure you can do a better job with this. And frankly, I'm baffled because you are probably the only developer that does a really good job at things like tail numbers. You actually make all of your liveries work with the in-game tail number system, and you even put a lot of effort into making the fonts and everything look good. You've got drop shadows. Like, nobody comes close to Carenado for that for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I don't know why the XML text file is always missing for the checklist. So please fix that. Alright, now that we've got that rant out of the way, we can get into the pilot's brief. So we are taking off from Northeast Philly Airport and flying north to intercept 276. Northeast Philly's airspace goes up to 2,600, and the Philly Bravo shelf starts at 3,500. The next nearest ring is 2,000, so we need to stay at 2,500 to avoid busting our Bravo shelf and avoid drifting into the 2,000 ring to the south. We're going to accomplish that visually by staying north of 276, flying heading 276, and overflying Wings Field. We'll also use the Schuylkill River as a reference and stay north of that. We're going to follow the Schuylkill River and route 422 to Pottstown. If Pottstown sounds familiar, it's the home of Yuengling, the nation's oldest brewery. We should be able to spot both Heritage Field and Pottstown Airport as visual references. Pottstown also has Limerick generating station with 2 nuclear cones, so those will be super easy to spot, and we should be able to see their steam plumes from miles and miles away. We'll continue following 422 to Reading, and we'll see Blue Marsh Lake, which will be easy to spot from the air, and then continue following 422 until we get Deck into view. Deck is in Lebanon County, which is just north of Lancaster County, which is where the Amish, or Pennsylvania Dutch, live. You've probably seen them if you've seen the 1985 Harrison Ford movie Witness, which takes place in Lancaster County. In it, Harrison Ford is a Philadelphia detective who is injured when he's shot and spends some time recovering with the Amish in Lancaster. The Amish are known for living a simpler, rural, technology-free life, so you'll often see them riding horses and buggies on the road. I follow the YouTube channel Russ Can Fly, in which real-world pilot Russ flies out of the Doylestown area, and he's flown to Deck many times, and he's commented that he's never quite sure what he's going to find when he gets to Deck, that you might see a horse and buggy somewhere around the airport. Here's a clip of one of his recent flights to Deck. This is a very similar flight to what we're doing today. I'll put the link to his video up here in the corner and also down in the video details so that you can check it out. I don't know Russ, I'm just always talking about his channel because I really enjoy it. He has a ton of enthusiasm for aviation and it is infectious. Like many new pilots, he takes you on his personal journey, getting his PPL, so I've learned a lot just from watching him because I hopefully intend to start my personal journey to get my PPL. Northeast Philly ground, November 359 Golf Charlie, Atlantic Aviation, taxi with Juliet for north departure. Taxi and hold short, runway 33 via Alpha 4, Alpha, Alpha 1, November 359 Golf Charlie. That was Navigraph charts that I had up there. Even for VFR flights, it's useful for the taxi diagrams because they are geo-referenced. Alright, we're clear on both sides. This is a freeware version of KPNE, which is pretty good. Check out the video details for its link. We're running with live everything today. It's the day after. We got a whole bunch of ice here in Pennsylvania, but it's clear skies, which is nice. I talked through it before, so you didn't hear it, but Live ATC has the ATIS for Northeast Philadelphia, so I was able to listen to the live ATIS, which matched up with everything. So runway 33 was in use on the ATIS in the game. Runway 33 is in use. The winds are all matching up, so I love when that happens. Now we get our transponder to alt, get the weather radar on, make sure our flaps are set, strobes are on, and we are ready for takeoff. Alright, I could see somebody on short final there, so let's wait for them. Sure, the one time I don't run with AIG traffic, I actually get a jet landing, so we've got the default livery for this one. Northeast Philly ground, November 359 Golf Charlie, holding short, runway 33. Cleared for departure, runway 33, November 359 Golf Charlie. Not surprisingly, liveatc.net is fairly quiet today for KPNE. There's not a lot of general aviation traffic going out, I'm sure, because the weather has been dismal the past couple days and everything is covered in ice. Alright, we can make our initial turn. We're turning left to fly north to intercept Interstate 276. Alright, there it is, 276 straight ahead. So once we're on the north side of that, we're going to make our turn to the left and fly heading 276 and stay north of it. As long as we do that and overfly Wings Field, we are golden and we won't have to worry about busting the next Bravo shelf. Alright, we're looking good. Let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Okay, as always, that was a lot of fun. I barely used the GPS. Really, the only time I used it was to help me spot the field a little bit easier when I got to Lebanon. But otherwise, I was following 422 and the Schuylkill River for almost the entire flight. So you could do that just using eyeballs. Landing the Skymaster continues to be a challenge. Boy, I still consistently come in high and fast and end up landing long. So this was not a great landing, but I will get it. It is a fun aircraft to fly and give it a try. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.